Well, we will call the Tuesday, July 26th FARGODOME Authority meeting to order. You have the agenda in front of you, and I'm not aware of any changes, but...
Well, you have the, oh yeah, you do have the right agenda.
I totally lied to you.
Yeah, way to go.
All right.
Oh,
You need one of these?
in the house.
I just need to see what the alcohol, or the operating lease is on, right?
Yep, it's on here. But I'll let anybody look at that, and if there's any changes, please let me know.
Sorry.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
First by Rick, second by Troy. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. In your packet, you also have the previous meeting minutes. So if you would please look at those, see if there's any changes.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
First by Dan, second by Blake. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, is there any old business in front of the authority? None? New business. We'll go to Rob with the general manager's report.
All right, thank you. First order, I stepped out quick, so I think when I came back in, you're talking about it, but just wanted to extend congratulations on behalf of the Fargo management staff to Barry Amundson retiring from Fargo Forum. Thank God. I mean,
Never retired.
congratulations.
Party tomorrow at 4.
I heard, I got that on my calendar, so I did see the email. I'm gonna try to get down. We got a little thing going on, little ditty going on here tomorrow, but hopefully I can get down there quick to say my goodbyes, and if not, goodbye. Okay, see you. But no,
This is nothing new.
Barry's obviously been around, was around, came back, and it's been great working with him, and I think we have a great relationship, and you definitely will be missed, but congratulations and good luck in your retirement and your next adventures. With that, then we will go to the financials, which are on page 4 for the month of June. As always, the month of June is on the left-hand side of the page. The year-to-date, which would be the first 6 months, is on the right-hand side of the page. So for the month, looking at the left, we had 4 event days with an attendance of just about 41,500, which is down a little from a budgeted attendance of 50,000 for Happy Harry's Rib Fest, which is kind of we'll grab that number out of the air number. We had total event income of 192,700 compared to a budget of 220. We had expenses about 385,000 compared to a budget of 369,000. So we did have a net deficit for the month of $61,000 compared to a budgeted net deficit of just about $10,000. So we were a little over budget, a little less than what we were hoping for. On the event side of things, as you can see, Happy Areas Rib Fest just about $29,000 below budget. It says below budget due to lower attendance, lower per caps. Per caps are slightly lower. Attendance was lower. Paid attendance was lower. Obviously, with Rib Fest, it's free gate, free parking from noon to 4 every single day, or 11 to 4 p.m. every single day. So we get a lot of attendance during those lunches so that people can come in and buy from the cookers. The attendance just didn't come out as still good. It was still very good. 42,000 people, I think, is great for 4 days, but not quite what it's been in some years.
I think it's.
But frankly, there is a lot going on in Fargo-Moorhead every weekend. So there's a lot of things for people to do, whether it's between Moorhead, Fargo, West Fargo, and so I'm still very pleased with the number of attendance that we got. Obviously, expenses are higher too, such as just the cost of fuel and rental equipment for the things we use, the cost of staff. So that also played a part in it too. So to come in where we're at was still very, very good.
I think it was the second highest Rib Fest I had ever seen going back. I mean,
Yeah,
there
were some numbers that, 47, 50, 52, 53, but some of those were 5 days as well.
Yeah.
So we're pleased with it. I think overall it was very good. Good event. Other income, as we said, about 7,000 below budget. Slower sales. We didn't have any new on sales for ticketing, so that's where your ticket revenue side goes. And then on the expense side, we were 6,500 below budget on labor, as we were still running with one position in food and beverage open. As we mentioned last week, that position has been filled now. Should be starting here in August sometime. However, one of our event coordinators, Ari Pladsen, did leave as her husband took a job out of town, so they moved out of town, unfortunately. So we have another opening that I believe they actually did some interviews last week, and will be following up interviews later this week or next week. Operations about $22,000 above budget. Warm month in June, so the steam increases. Also some timing on purchasing the cooling tower chemicals when it was budgeted versus when we ran out and put it in. Different things such as that. Any questions on the month of June? Year to date then, we've had 49 events compared to a budget of 48. Attendance of just over 207,000 compared to 254,500. We've had total event income of just over 1,854,000, favorably comparing to the budget of 1,817,000. Expenses, as we've talked about, a bit over budget, 2,356,000 compared to a budget of 2,211,500. But so that all adds up to a net surplus through the first 6 months of $347,000, which is about $98,000 below the budget of $446,000. The comments don't change a lot. Obviously, Happy Aries Rib Fest was the only event, so that's the only thing that changed. As was asked at the Finance Committee meeting, on the concert side, we've already run 5 concerts through. Obviously, we have a show tomorrow, which would be the total of the 6 concerts. We've got Greta Van Fleet in September, and still looking at other possibilities potentially for 2022, but things have started to slow down a little bit and shift to 23 and 24 as well. So, any questions on the financials?
Mr. Chair, the June financials were approved at last week's finance meeting, so I make a motion to approve the June financials as presented in the general manager's report.
Second.
So
Yes.
Nancy, Troy.
Yes.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Blake, Ben.
Yes.
All right, moving on to past and upcoming events since our last meeting, which was at the end of June. We just wrapped up USA Wrestling this last week. Again, lots of wrestlers. I forgot my stats in my mailbox. I apologize, but there were a lot of wrestlers. Over 5,000, 6,000 wrestlers, lots of mats. It was some long days starting on Saturday morning, running through Friday afternoon, but overall, great event again. They had 27 mats on the floor, which in recent times, that's the most they've had. I can't remember as far back into the late 90s, but they've really seen an increase in the female wrestlers. Have really pumped their numbers up, but then even some of the male wrestlers also were a little bit higher as well. So I believe they were overall well pleased. They got packed up and out of here on the Saturday morning. Any questions on past events? Talked a little bit about RibFest too. Any comments from anybody? Moving forward then, as we mentioned, Machine Gun Kelly, that is tomorrow. So things are pretty much in play. Early morning for some people. I think the walk and chalk for the rigging starts at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning with a 4 o'clock call, an 8 o'clock call, and then an 8 o'clock show. So it's going to be an early morning and an early late night for some people. For this market are good. You know, it'll be 8, 9.
Yeah.
Might hit 10, but probably in that 9, 10 or so.
Sweet spot for the per caps.
Which I think is a good number, particularly for this genre and in this market. Fargo's not a very big market, but I had somebody describe it to me as the pop punk genre here last week. I heard, and I looked at him and said, never heard of that one, but okay.
Nice.
So we'll go with that. And then just after that, upcoming, getting ready for Ndsu football with the unfortunate cancellation of the Maroon 5 tour. Their entire North American tour was taken down as we get ready for football. Which brings us to our next meeting on Tuesday, August 30th. Any questions, comments from any board members on anything? That would conclude my report.
All right, we will go to 3B in committee reports.
Okay, 1A, we saw the June financials, project updates, gave a quick update on the turf. It's installed, filled, put in the pit. Next steps are to cycle it out and see how it performs. Couple of purchases that were approved at Building and Finance. Domestic water heater, one of the two water heaters broke. So Building and Finance approved a bid of $39,450 from Midwest Ironworks to replace that water heater. Funds will be reallocated to pay for that project. And then the loading dock trench collapsed, which qualified it as emergency purchased. And we approved $54,553 cost from Rohr's Construction to fix the trench. That'll also be paid for from reallocated past projects. And escrow balance through May, negative 7.7% return. S&P was down probably 14-15% during that same time period. So about half of that. And then what else was there? Additional items, we talked a little bit about the building improvement expansion and just working through the presentation materials for late summer, early fall, possibly for that. So that would conclude my report. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Nancy?
Yep.
Troy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
All right. Number 4, Ndsu operating lease agreement update.
All right, I apologize for only getting that out to you this morning. I had intended to get it earlier, but you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions from what I'm told. So, this agreement, as was sent to you this morning, with the red line, was sent over to Ndsu Athletics last Friday. Matt Larson and Todd Phelps and others for their review. I did hear back from them, from Matt yesterday, just stating that the agreement looks good and works for Ndsu Athletics. And so I don't know where that leaves it as far as on NDSU's side, if there'll be any more communication across campus with the president's office or with anybody there. But typically I've always worked with the athletic director on this. And then since, for many years now, many renewals, the authority has chosen not to set up a subcommittee to work on this, but just kind of present it to the entire board. So assuming these red line changes that are in here are good, all these changes were made by me, so I would be the one to go back in and accept these changes to make it a clean document. Obviously, I do have to do a little bit of cleanup on the table of contents, the first 2 pages, since obviously as shown in this agreement, the alcohol sales or the reference to any alcohol sales was put into the revenue sharing section, item C, and then with the information in subset CA relating to the alcohol sales, where they're going to be sold, different things with tailgating, and then the fan behavior and actions. This would be the document that I would consider pretty much final. So I don't know if there's any questions unless we get any changes back from the university. Yes.
Just a quick question, so it's gone through, athletic departments, that means it's been through the attorneys as well? Just curious.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
The NDSU attorney.
and you see, yeah, okay.
My understanding is that that was who was doing one of the initial
Oh.
reviews on it.
I think short of signatures, the agreement's acceptable. It's just a matter of channeling it to the right people for signatures. So one thing I wanted to bring up speaking from the athletic department standpoint is just making sure that this board is comfortable knowing that we're still waiting on signatures, that we still move forward, working with Rob and his staff on the addition of alcohol at fall football games, knowing that we're less than 6 weeks out and need to continue working on that and informing our fan base, but I want to make sure that this group would be comfortable with us continuing to moving forward, knowing that there's an agreement on the in principle, just no signatures yet.
But we would have an agreement
By
before.
the Tuesday before the first game, basically.
What I would say is that this is the agreement, unless of course
agreement.
we get some changes. If there were some changes, that would be communicated back to this board.
But the Dome is ready and able to do this because we're doing it now for other events.
Correct.
But we're just short.
It's obviously a
Signed
change
agreement
in
to do it,
policy
which
for
we would need
NDSU
to have.
football, so there's things we're working through, but we're selling alcohol tomorrow night. In the home rule charter that created the FARGODOME Authority, they are tasked with making a decision to sell alcohol and things like that in accordance with the city ordinances, state of North Dakota, which we do. But yeah, so.
So the issues now are more about where and how and who. Because
Correct, and I will say that in conversations with NDSU, their preference, as I have had communicated to me, which I would appreciate anybody else who knows differently speaking up. As I have had communicated to me, their plan is to have alcohol available for sale and consumed everywhere in the building. They met with their student body groups, and my understanding is their student body government brought up the fact that there are 21-year-old students, so they should also be able to consume. There was some conversation about not having it brought into the student section. Frankly, our concerns, or my concerns, and some security concerns on that would be you might then, that would have a student maybe on the concourse slamming their beers and then walking in. And we don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. We want to do whatever we can for safe, responsible consumption of alcohol beverages. And we have that with all of our other events.
Yep. A good track record.
And so that's not to say that they don't come with challenges and that there won't be challenges with this, but I do think that part of the messaging too is that the success of this is dependent upon those who are purchasing and consuming it, because they need to act in safe, responsible
and I
ways.
don't think we should be the alcohol police. That's not what I'm asking.
Sure, no,
either.
correct.
I think my concern, which was I had two before, but the one that remains is you've got 4 to 5 hours of tailgating, of which you have no idea how much anybody's had to drink. I mean, and now you're going to have people that are going to be serving, and I've gone through the servers training, and it would be very difficult when you weren't the person there when the serving started to have any idea if this is an appropriate sale to make. So when it comes to that, where is the liability and the legal piece? I mean, I just don't know. I'm asking.
The liability is on the FARGODOME. It is on the people selling the alcohol, so that'd be the FARGODOME.
Because they really are employees employees at that point that are selling the alcohol.
Or our contracted employees, and they're working underneath the FARGODOME's liquor liability and the liability insurance, and then the dram shop and everything such as that, which is the same situation on any event that we sell, and that's why we do stress that, excuse me, if somebody serving alcohol who has gone through the training, which is required, observes anything and they think that somebody is exhibiting signs of intoxication and shouldn't be served, that they will be stood behind with the management decision to not serve that individual. And they are notify their stand manager and their supervisors to let them know that, and that person is not served alcohol. In this situation, if that causes an issue if that person wants to take it further, we don't control ticketing, so then that we would find out that information of that person and turn that over to NDSU Athletics, as they are the ones who control ticketing.
And that's some of the work that we're continuing to do, is further develop our policies to make sure that if there is an incident, that we take care of it in terms of that patron being ours, like Rob said. And we've talked a lot about it being a 1-year lease, but also we're going to monitor this as the year goes on. Last thing we want is problems. So if there's things that we have to address after the first game to address any of that, we're going to be diligent about doing so, but do as much as we can on the front side to make sure that we eliminate any potential issues through policy, policing, security, education. So that's why I mentioned that a lot of the communication will be that, asking our fans to be responsible, and kind of like when we introduced alcohol at tailgating years ago, is the success of that was incumbent upon those fans policing each other, and to date they've done a good job of doing that.
That's true.
And I do think that it's valid to have a challenge with the current way tailgating is set up. That's why this is only a one-year agreement, and it's not saying that it will continue or other things won't be tweaked. But I think to a certain degree, whether it's time or frustration or wearing down, maybe the wrong way to look at it, but sometimes you don't know until you try it too, what it's going to be. And that's where it is important that our FARGODOME team knows that we're here to support them, or that management is here to support them if they make that decision, that FARGODOME staff and everybody knows that NDSU Athletics and the university is there to support them if there's issues, but that person purchasing the alcohol or making those decisions plays a big role whether this continues or not.
I agree.
And I read some articles on that. This was just one of them. It said Ohio State saw a 65% drop in incidents when they started serving stadium-wide, and Oregon just last year saw a 49 dip in alcohol-related ejections because fans weren't concealing alcohol illegally and they weren't binge drinking in the tailgating. So they actually saw incidents go down. I mean, time will tell, but see what happens. Yeah.
So, if I understood right, Rob, you were looking for a motion to accept this agreement as is.
It may be unorthodox to ask for it since it's a red line and not complete, technically, I guess. But I do look, right now, the indications are, I can't speak for NDSU if they're having internal or anything such as that, but the indications I've received from NDSU is this agreement, red line agreement documenting the changes in the language is acceptable to NDSU, so that this would be the document that is signed.
So would it be appropriate for a motion such as move to approve the proposed agreement as redlined with any changes coming back to the board?
Certainly.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
No, a lot of stadiums stop serving the beginning of the fourth quarter? Does that
This-
language make it in here?
That will be
Is
our standard, through our standard
That's
policies,
Sunday.
that, and
Outside.
it will be either the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. A lot of them are beginning of the fourth quarter. And frankly, that is subject to change as well.
Right.
And you
Typically for a concert, we will stop about 30 to 45 minutes from the end of the event. That can be adjusted. There is no hard and fast, hey, this is when it has to be off. But if we notice it going one way, we might go earlier. If we notice it going another way, it might be later or just a normal time.
Right.
Any other discussion?
I think Rob made a good point. I think there are a lot of issues, and I think Nancy referred to it as well. A lot of issues need to be addressed in policy. This allows us to do this. We need to make sure we have good policy going forward, which I know we do for other events, so.
Agreed.
Another, to Nancy's point about tailgating, that's an area of policy we're also looking at is tailgating, not to just focus all on inside, making sure that those are still current based on the change inside.
I honestly think my concern is maybe more in relationship to that. It's the unknown, and I'm not disagreeing that sometimes you have to just try it. I'm looking around and saying, if I abstain, it can still pass. I'm still concerned, but not the level of concern I had when I was kind of a pill 4 years ago. I was a pill.
Well, you're never a pill. Well, you wouldn't have to abstain, you just might vote differently than others. And that's
I
certainly.
don't know that I'm against it. I
Have
still
concern- I think-
hold reservations.
Yeah, I think we all have some reservations.
I'm not gonna lie, I have reservations about this. Not only from what's it gonna do, but just the added pressure it puts on our staff.
Well,
You know,
I have to tell you, all of that concerns me.
and so.
And I've seen seemingly a mild-mannered man or woman, this is not a gender-specific thing, just hail after somebody unnecessarily. And everything about how I was trained just makes me go up to the person and say, that was unkind and unnecessary. Now, one day I'm gonna get clipped for that, I'm sure.
And you know what? But here's the thing on that is probably not the right forum to express this in, but that's what we're looking for. We are looking for attendees to self-police, not violently or anything such as that, but just if they know somebody, and if it's Rick and I, and Rick's doing what Rick does, and I just hey,
Stop
Rick,
it too.
let's dial it down a little bit. Or you know what? We had a really great time at tailgating. I think we're gonna bypass the game today and go home and watch it on TV, and we're gonna make sure you get home safe. That's what that's what we need in this to maintain the great atmosphere that NDSU game day. I've preached for a while now. This isn't just a football game anymore. This is a day long of entertainment that
It is, and
is
it is
8 to
family
12
entertainment.
hours long, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah. But it's not just
Some of us have
entertainment for
less
20
fun
minutes.
than others, but
On those days, I appreciate that's true for you.
but it's become the event,
Mhm.
and it's great to have 6 to 9 of them a year.
9's better than 6.
Yes, 9 is better than 6. Love to see 10, but they're gonna take those road games. But I think we're to the point that it's time to try it. Not that I'm gung ho, but I think we're to that point. We need to try it and see what, and know that it's fluid, and we'll be making changes and monitoring it, and looking at it. And we have 2 games the first part of September. Then we have a couple of weeks off. So if we have to look at some changes or do anything there, we got some October games and November games. So.
I think it's gonna be a challenge. I think checking all those people to make sure they're 21, and I think it's gonna be a challenge.
I'm gonna add just a comment to that. I don't disagree with those same concerns, but we have concerts with 12,000 people.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh yeah.
And here's the issue with that, talk about, they're out there partying before the football game. That's in the morning. Most people are pretty calm in the morning, honestly. You check out where the people are partying before the concerts and then compare that group to the football group, there is no comparison. I mean, if you talk about issues that could occur within a venue in a setting, far less in the football than there is in a concert. And you guys do a good job of controlling the concerts. So I like that.
We just need to expand our quarters so we have more room to serve.
It definitely would make things easier, yes.
Good idea.
Not a
Put
good
that on the
idea.
agenda.
Well, I'll make note of that one, Dan.
Along with all the other things like paving the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
All right.
We'd pave Paradise and put up a really bad park.
There you go, there you go, that's another idea.
Any other discussion? Otherwise, we have a first and a second, so.
Okay, so I have a first from Rick, a second from Ann.
Yep.
So Nancy,
I'm still gonna abstain based on concern.
are you gonna vote no or abstain?
I'm gonna abstain. I think I
I
can.
don't think you.
I don't know if you can.
I don't think you can, Nancy. It's either yes or no, or you're not here.
Okay, well then.
Go.
Do you want me to come back to you?
Yeah,
Yes,
come back.
come back to
Yes.
This is like going to a restaurant.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
That's what.
you, yes?
All right. Number 5 was additional items. Is there any other additional items that need to be brought up? All right, if not, we are adjourned.